I sabi say this afternoon I been make post as say when Moses been get the time to have written the first 5 books of the Bible. That's from Genesis to Deuteronomy. And I don't see a lot of comments and answers. They all make sense. Since this is a question that nobody actually knows, only God knows. So there is no right or wrong answer. But now this kind discussion I dey like. Make we ransack our brain. Make we go Google, go make research, because yes, we know as Christians and we believe that the Bible, the Word of God, was written out of inspiration. Now God inspire people to write down. That is what we believe as Christians. But today, as I was, thinking about Moses and the book of Genesis to Deuteronomy, I was like, wait a second. These first 5 books of the Bible, how we be say now Moses come write and we be say Moses no been dey the time of creation. Moses no been dey the time of the great flood. So how is it that Moses wrote all these things? But anyways, based on your comments, it gets certain things where I won't point out. And one of our brother don't point out something very, very nice for the comment section. And this is interesting. For the last book of the law, Deuteronomy chapter 34 from verse 5 to 8, if now Moses write the first 5 books from Genesis to Deuteronomy, so as Moses come by, so now he still write them. As in, Moses don't buy finish, he come wake up, say, no, I must complete my writing, then write and finish, then go back to buying. But to throw more insight, one proof that Moses no be the only one will write the first 5 books of the Bible. Scholars have determined that this last part of Deuteronomy, the person who been writing, now Joshua. All right, let's move from that side. Because for me, asking biblical questions doesn't mean that I am in doubt of what is going on in the Bible. But like I said in the previous video, sometimes it's good to have knowledge of all these things, even though it will not directly improve your life or change your life. But sometimes it's good to know, just to know. Somebody like David, where be say as him come be king, get access to so many things where Moses no been get when he been the wilderness. David only wrote one book, Psalms. As in, with all as David, they thought that David was a songwriter, but he just write only one book, the book of Psalms. Coming to his son, King Solomon, the wisest man, just write 2, Songs of Solomon and Ecclesiastes. Now, the person will come write so many books for New Testament are Paul the Apostle. And that is understandable because Paul the Apostle was a lawyer. And in fact, the books were he write, not be like books per se, they were like letters. He write Romans, write Ephesians, write Galatians, write Thessalonians, write Corinthians, write till he come write Hebrews, come write to Timothy, join. At least that we can make sense of it because Paul the Apostle was a lawyer. He was learned and he get access to books and pens and biros. Whereas Moses, for wilderness, with all the uncomfortability where the desert, man, come on. The Israelites, they on one side, they give them wahala. They on one side, they worship other gods. He don't climb, go mountain, go spend 40 days, first. Come down, constantly say the Israelites don't effort. In break the ones where he even manage right for stone. They can't tell me, say 5 books. 5 books. I ain't can write. All by himself. Just because they don't give him that authorship. Now, person be make reference to Jesus Christ. In the book of John chapter 5 verse 46 to 47, where Jesus Christ said, if you believed Moses, you will believe me, for he wrote about me. But since you do not believe what he wrote, how are you going to believe what I say? And under that comment, I just say this is how we misinterpret the Bible. When Jesus Christ said Moses wrote about him, the statement was Moses wrote the 5 books of the law. Now, let's understand that in the Old Testament, the law, whenever you hear about the law, whenever the law was being talked about, we all knew that Moses was, how go to now bring law. Okay? For the Old Testament, Moses then bring law. And for the New Testament, Jesus now end law. So whenever you hear about law in the Old Testament is Moses. So when Jesus Christ said, Moses wrote about me, like I said, that Moses, no be him write everything. But yes, there are some things he wrote. For example, the book of Exodus, since he was there from the beginning of Exodus to the end, yes, that one fit us say now Moses write that one. Yes. Leviticus, okay. Numbers, all right. But Deuteronomy, oh boy. So when Jesus talked, say Moses, now in write about me, didn't say that Moses wrote the first 5 books of the law. First of all, this Moses, where they talk about him being born for the land of Goshen, and him being grow up for palace. So now you won't tell me, say now for that palace where he grew up, where the Hebrew people, where when they take on now that time they get to the teach them how God take create heaven and earth, how he take form Adam, how he, now they can't teach them how, the flood being happen. So tell Moses come write all the chronicles, the Tower of Babel and everything. Now there they use train Moses. Then as him come because make we no even talk, see him be write anything when in the Egypt. He didn't write nada. So now you want this now for wilderness. Now we can't get time because they spend 40 years for wilderness. Now you can't get time. They write with which stones, with which books, with which books, with which ink. You can't write. Anyways, and waiting according to Deuteronomy, Jesus believed that if you believe Moses, you would believe me, for he wrote about me. And what did Moses, the law in the Old Testament that is acclaimed to have been written by Moses, talked about Jesus. Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 18, New International Version says, I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their fellow Israelites, and I'll put my words in his mouth. He will tell them everything I command him. Again, that is in the law, because in the book of Deuteronomy, and since the law is ascribed to Moses, that's why Jesus Christ said, Moses wrote about me. So meaning, if you believed in the law, why don't you believe in me? If you believed in Moses, why don't you believe in me? Jesus Christ didn't mean that Moses wrote from the book of Genesis to Deuteronomy. Let's go ahead. And waiting Moses be used in hand right now the commandment. And the commandments did not just end in 10. 10 were like the broader commandments. In total, according to to Judaism, God gave Moses the 10 commandments directly engraved on stone tablets, and these are a core part of the broader 613 mitzvot. This is commandments in Hebrew, detailed in the Torah. These 613 commandments cover various aspects of life and were given to the ancient Israelite nation through Moses, with 248 being positive commandments and 365 being negative commandments. So in total, Moses wrote 613 commandments. So I say, all right, make it not just be say, Satan don't enter my head, make I just come start to think anyhow. I decide go make my research to find waiting I dey think. Am I thinking in the right direction, or people don't already think this thing before me? I go Google go ask whether you get person wey bin help Moses write the first 5 books of the Bible. AI tell me from 4 sources. While tradition states Moses wrote the Pentateuch alone, scholarly views and the text itself suggest a collaborative or editorial process, with Joshua likely writing the final chapter on Moses' death, and some views proposing various scribes, editors, and traditions over centuries synthesized the material. The JEDP, whatever that means, hypothesis suggests different sources. JEDP, and redactors compiled the text over time, while others believe Moses received the divine revelation and then transmitted it through oral or written tradition, possibly with assistance from others. I may not forget say Moses was a stammerer. They stammer. That now even when God sent, I say, no, why you no send my brother Aaron with he talk? So in conclusion, while the Pentateuch claims to be written by Moses, the process likely involved more than just Moses writing it all himself. The text itself suggests a collaborative effort, with Joshua perhaps writing the final chapter and various scribes and editors potentially contributing to the compilation and refinement of the text over time. Then to crown the summary of the summary, it says the books of the Torah do not name any author, as authorship was not considered important by the society that produced them. And it was only after Jews came into intense contact with author-centric Hellenistic culture in the late Second Temple period that the rabbis began to find authors for their scriptures, meaning that first 5 books, they don't write and finish. But they can't decide, okay, who make we give this book, as in who make we name as the author of this book. And I believe because Moses at that time was a very important figure, he was the one that led the Israelites out of Egypt. I think that's why they decided to give it to Moses. Again, that's my own assumption. But from what it says, there was no author as of when these first 5 books were compiled. All right. By the 1st century CE, it was already common practice to refer to the 5 as the law of Moses. But the first unequivocal expression of the idea that this meant authorship appears in the Babylonian Talmud, an encyclopedia of Jewish tradition and scholarship composed between 200 and 500 CE. There, the rabbis noticed and addressed such issues as how Moses had received the divine revelation, how it was curated and transmitted to later generations, and how difficult passages such as the last verses of Deuteronomy, which describe his death, were to be explained. See, they don't start to think now, okay, if we talk, say, now Moses write the first 5 books, including Deuteronomy, how we go take explain this Deuteronomy? Because as we read in chapter 34, all right, from verse, what we read 5 to, it says, describe how Moses died. So these scholars were so smart. And then they thought, okay, if we all attribute these first 5 books of the Bible to Moses, so what is the explanation for the book of Deuteronomy? How will we explain it that he wrote this one after him by? This culminated in the 8th of Maimonides' 13 Principles of Faith, establishing belief in Mosaic authorship as an article of Jewish belief. So, brothers and sisters, my question wasn't wrong. And like I said, all your answers are correct. Whether you talk saying Moses right arm or whether you talk saying Moses right arm, or you did correct. But one thing why they say for comment section not to insult people for something where been there when it happened. I beg. Make una know they insult people for comment section. If you get opinion, write down politely, plainly, without insulting anyone. I beg. So me, I believe say as much as the first 5 books of the Bible, that's Genesis to Deuteronomy, is being ascribed to Moses, today I know things say that Moses will write all of them. And that was my thought even before I made this research now. Because if I made it before, I would have said it in the first video. But from your comments, I'm like, all right, yeah, some people, they think like me. Some people get sense. Some people are willing to learn something. I say, okay, based on those comments, make I go make research. And this is the result of the research. So I see the Bible, yes. It is believed that the Bible was written as a source of, inspiration from God. So yes, God could have put it in the heart of some things, in the heart of Moses, revealed to him, just like in the book of Revelation, God gave John, the beloved, the revelation. So God could have done the same thing to Moses, but come on. One person, 5 books. When did he have the time? Think about that. It's your boy, the crackhead. Even the King David, we been get all the time. They've been fit write more than one book. Solomon write two books. Paul the Apostle, how many write? 5 or 6 or 7? All the prophets in the Bible, in the Old Testament, they write 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. But Moses can't write 5. Anyways, glory be to God. And only God sabi who really write these books. But we know, say Joshua be help Moses, at least for the last part. And maybe there could have been other people that wrote the beginning part of the Old Testament. That's from Genesis before Exodus. Maybe Enoch, probably because there are books of Enoch. And they not just won't put them for the secular Bible. Anyways, have a nice night. Bye.